been the admin for a while. Okay. So just a quick review in terms of what we've been talking about for building the daily practice. So we wake up in the morning, we set our motivation. That's the most important thing. And then if we have time, we can clean our room, the altar room, the shrine room, whatever you want to call it, and then set up the altar, refresh the offerings. And then we can say the refuge prayer and do some prostrations, maybe ideally at least 3 prostrations. And then we can do our daily prayers and a little meditation. And then throughout the day, once we are off the cushion, so to speak, then we can practice mindfulness and check in on the way our thoughts are proceeding throughout the day, checking to make sure that our intention is set on helping others instead of harming them. And then we can recite mantras throughout the day as well to keep our attention focused on the inner workings of the mind, creating virtue through recitation of mantras. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And then essentially, whatever we're doing, try to focus on offering whatever we have, all of our wealth, our possessions, our merit, offering, for example, food that we might be consuming, or water that we're drinking. All of that we can first offer as something beautiful that we offer to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Again, as a reminder for us to change our minds, right? So we're practicing generosity as a way of overcoming our stinginess, our miserliness. We can offer all of the beauty of nature, everything that's unowned, right? So the beauty of the snow, the sparkling reflection of the light as it hits the snow, etc. And then at the end of the day, we review what happened throughout the course of the day and rejoice in all of the positive things that we did, and pay attention to and confess and purify anything that might have been harmful. So when we, turn off the light and go to sleep, then we have sort of closed the loop, so to speak, on our day. And what we have aspired to do in the beginning of the day, in the morning, then we've thought about it, reflected on it, and then we're dedicating the merit from our day just before we go to sleep. So that's a beautiful way to to end the day. All right. So I hope that this doesn't seem like a checklist, just a things to do list to make your life more complicated, but rather I think these are things that we can do to bring joy, to bring a sense of instruction, structure, I think is the word, a good structure, a good guidelines, good guidelines for living. So we keep our minds, headed towards some practicing virtue, right? So in the last class, we did the abbreviated version of the daily prayers. So if you're, interested in doing that version, then the link is in the references in the slides. So what I could do here, if I'm really talented, is I can somehow drag the copy of the slides into chat. Let me see if I can do that. Again, apologize for not being too good at this. Let's see if this works. Aha, look at this. Wait, is that it? Yeah. I want to make sure I'm not sending you my wrong thing. Slides. Yes, that should be it. Here we go. Ah, there you go. Brilliant. There you go. Slides. Okay. So I moved, I think, all of the reference slides to the end of the presentation rather than having them scattered throughout. So that should be easier. And then like I said, we did the shortest version of the daily prayers from FPMT, from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. What I want to do today is a slightly longer version of the morning practice. This was a translation that Art Engel has prepared, and it's also very lovely. So let's see if I can do this. Go to share. We go to it's in here somewhere. Where's the screen? This is the slides. Is this it? Uh-huh. Oh, amazing. Unbelievable. Okay. So sorry for the scroll. Let me put this. All right, this is a very beautiful practice. Extract from Mudra Dharmabhadra's A Jewel, Garland of Excellent Sayings, an explanation of how to perform virtuous activities on a daily basis. So Art Engel was teaching on this 2 Sundays ago. So first we form a bodhisattva's intention, and I hope you can all read this. I'll try to highlight it. I beseech all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who reside in the 10 directions to give heed to me. I, Bodhisattva, named, and then you insert your name, have given myself together with all my wealth and virtue to all sentient beings after using food, clothing, seats, beds, and so forth for the sake of all sentient beings throughout all the various periods of the day, shall strive exclusively to accomplish the aims of sentient beings. So then the mantra for amplifying your virtuous activities, and we did this last class or class before. Om Sambara Sambara Vimanasara Mahajava Hom. Om Samara Samara Vimanaskara Mahajava Hom. Right? And then the mantra for blessing your prayer beads. Om Ruchiramani Pravataya Hom. Mantra for blessing the soles of your feet was Om Kritara Gana Hom Shri Soha. And then we did not talk about blessing your speech because it really involves arising as a deity, right? It says appearing as a deity. So for those of you who have, had a tantric initiation, then you probably know how to do this already. And then if you haven't, then maybe, we don't need to, we can do this some other time in the future. So we're not going to do that. Skip the benefits. So here, this is really important, making supplication to your root Lama. So you're going to recite your Lama's supplication verse 3 times, and his or her name mantra 7 times. So I have Gyaltsen Rinpoche's verses here. So bear with me, let me find this. Gyaltsen Rinpoche's heart verses. So that your holy deeds may bless the nature of fortunate disciples, and that the Lord of 10 powers teachings and realization spread. You shine the lamp of logic for intelligent minds, spiritual friend who shows the way. To you we pray. And his root mantra is Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Maitre Sarva Siddhi Hom Hom. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Maitre Sarva Siddhi Hom Hom. Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Maitre Sarva Siddhi Hom Hom. And then there's this beautiful prayer. O exalted and venerable compassionate Lama, please look upon this wretched one with compassion. Please reveal your joyful countenance to me. Please grant me your uplifting verbal approval. When I make sincere and single-minded supplication, please sit in the center of my great bliss wheel and bless me to achieve all my desired aims spontaneously and without obstruction. When I am collecting the 2 accumulations and confessing my bad deeds and transgressions, please sit in the sky expanse before me. And bless me to succeed in completing the 2 accumulations and purifying myself of misdeeds and transgressions that are natural and prescribed. all day and night until I reach enlightenment. Please sit in the middle of the lotus at the center of my heart and bless me so that all the adverse factors to my pursuit of enlightenment become quelled and I am able to gain the favorable conditions with ease. Please bless me so that my attention is directed to the Dharma. My thoughts and deeds that are contrary to the Dharma become quelled, and I am able to achieve all my aims that conform to the Dharma effortlessly and spontaneously. In brief, from today on, in all my lives, in all my circumstances of this life, future ones, and intermediate states, I place my hopes in no refuge object other than you, my Lama. Please watch over me with your eyes of compassion. May the exalted and venerable Lama hold me, a wretch without any protector or refuge, in his compassionate thoughts, and may I achieve the good fortune of never being separated from the experience of his or her bodily and verbal forms. May I experience the glory of the Dharma in all my rebirths through never being separated from a true Lama and through perfecting the good qualities of the levels and paths. May I quickly achieve Vajradhara's state. I make prostrations to the three jewels. I go for refuge to the three jewels. May I be blessed by the three jewels. May the three jewels cause my activities to be achieved. Through making heartfelt supplication to the precious three jewels, may they, in their compassion, grant me all my needs and aspirations. And then we make the offerings, prostrations, etc. So this will be the offering cloud mantra that we studied before. Namo Ratnatrayaya, Namo Bhagavate Vajrasara Prabandhanaya, Tathagataya, Arhate Samyaksam Buddhaya, Tayata, Om Vajra Vajra, Mahavajra, Mahatedra Vajra, Mahavidya Vajra, Mahabodhicitta Vajra, Mahabodhi Mando Pasam Kramana Vajra, Sarvakarma Avarano Vishodhana Swaha. And then there's another mantra for making the flower offering, and then another one for making the lamp offerings. Then stand up and with your palms joined, recite these two verses to invite the merit field. So you can either stand up or, we can do the shortest version of the prostration. So we can do that. O Bhagavan, savior of all beings without exception, divine conqueror of the terrible demon host, the one who knows all entities truly and completely, please draw near together with your retinue. O triple refuge who pervades all time and space, along with the protectors who obey your command in your concern for the afflicted world that you embrace with your wisdom and compassion. With your unimpeded miraculous powers, please draw near from your immeasurable pure realm and sit in the middle of this vast cloud of offerings. So after reciting these verses, then recite the following verses. You prepare to make full prostrations to the merit field. I make prostrations to the lamas and the supreme three jewels who reside in the 3 times and the 10 directions, and to all those worthy of being paid homage. So then, you think that the merit field is there in front of you with bodies emanated by me that are equal in number to the atoms in the Buddha fields and accompanied by oceans of melodious praise that give expression to my faith and devotion. So then we do this mantra while you're doing the full prostrations, or we can do the short prostrations. Om Namo Manju Shri Namo Su Shri Namo Uttama Shri Soha. Om Namo Manju Shri Namo Su Shri Namo Uttama Shri Soha. Okay, so you can say that as many times as you want. Then you make the offerings. I offer every form of these offerings. So reception water, water for washing the feet, flowers, incense, lamps, perfumed water, food, music, and the like. I offer every form of these offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I confess all my evil deeds and transgressions accumulated through beginningless time. I rejoice at the virtuous deeds of Aryas and ordinary beings, and I beseech the Buddhas to remain in samsara until it has been emptied of beings. I turn the wheel of Dharma for their benefit. I dedicate my own virtue and that of others to supreme enlightenment. So that was the brief 7-limb prayer that we've covered in previous classes. And then the mandala offering, visualizing this ground anointed with incense, flowers strewn and adorned by Mount Meru, the 4 continents and the sun and the moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it to the merit field. May all beings come to experience their own pure realms. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Nirayataya. Okay. May the great Losang Tubong Dorje Chang, embodiment of all the lamas, tutelary deities, and triple refuge, place his toenails, meaning his feet, as a gesture of respect, on the moon at the center of the Kumada flower in my heart and remain there unwaveringly. So then you withdraw the merit field, we absorb the merit field into light, thinking that it blesses you. And then we close with the following verses of prayer and dedications. Having ascertained that all the happiness and prosperity of samsara's 3 realms is unreliable and a source of deception, may I develop the genuine renunciation that feels revulsion for all of samsara's abundance. Having recognized that all the beings that wander throughout this terrifying samsara are my own very kind fathers and mothers, may I develop the courage of a superior attitude that does not shrink from the goal of delivering all beings from the ocean of cyclic existence. Having realized correctly the manner in which all inner and outer entities arise in dependence on their individual causes and conditions, may I cut the root of the erring mind that grasps at real essences, which has been lodged in the center of my heart through beginningless time. Through the arising of the 100-rayed light of Manjuvajra, which shines forth from the pure realm with its nature of the 5 jewel elements, when the clouds of gross materiality disappear, may the darkness of all beings' ignorance be dispelled. Through the marvelous blessings of the victors and their spiritual offering, the infallible truth of dependent origination, and the strength of my own pure superior attitude, may the aims of these genuine prayers be fulfilled. Okay. So FPMT also has a version of, the longer daily practice that includes that essentially the same material and also that very beautiful closing prayer. So I think I put it in the references. Okay, so I just wanted to make a few opening comments here. So another week has gone by, another week of chasing the carrot on the stick, so to speak, and running away from the boogeyman, right? It's another week of spinning stories and getting lost in a sticky tangle of misconceptions and arguments based on fictions and self-defense. So something that happened to me today that last few days ago that was kind of funny was I got in an argument with somebody because I thought, that somebody else did something and he thought that I did it. And so it was essentially just a miscommunication. But what was funny was I then overheard him relating his side of the account of the story to somebody else. And my first instinct was to listen. And I was thinking in my mind, oh, no, that's not what happened. That's not it at all. You got it all wrong, right? And I was about to run over and interfere in the conversation and say, wait a minute, you're all wrong. And then I thought, well, that's not too smart. So I just wanted to, have a little patience. And it was interesting because then I saw that the argument was clearly just a miscommunication in terms of what he thought should have happened, what I thought should have happened. And so, it really makes you question, like, what actually happened? The way our memory it distorts a simple situation, is just very interesting. The way, we present the information, whether it's presented with anger or if it's presented from, a position of trust or truly seeking to clear up the situation, that makes a huge difference. So, how can our stories, be so fictional, so made up, right? So it's just a good opportunity to watch how all of this transpires, to really watch the mind, to see how the ego, flavors experience. Very interesting. So, most of the people around us are not interested in the Dharma. Let's face it, right? Our friends, our family, our coworkers, they're really probably not interested in the Dharma for the most part. And, how does that make us feel? Do we feel isolated? Do we feel unheard? Do we feel misunderstood? Lonely, perhaps? If we need to take some time off for meditation, maybe we want to do this morning meditation practice and it causes our schedule, the daily family routine, maybe to have to change a little bit, right? Is that considered a threat by the other family members? Do they think that we're withdrawing from them, right? If we're no longer interested in the pastimes that we used to enjoy, like whatever it is, going to the bar, watching TV, going to the movies, playing sports, is that a problem? We need to give up, attachment to idle pursuits, or at least to gradually spend less time on them. Does that mean that we're spending less time with, our loved ones and friends? Are there ways that we can, work around that or mitigate that or show that that doesn't mean that we don't love them any more than, we used to, right? So we wish to focus more on virtuous deeds. We want to focus more on, both directly and indirectly helping others, right? And so we need to do this in relation to other people, right? And so, ironically, it's the same people who we start to feel estranged from, who are our best opportunity, right? Who we need the most, in order to practice patience, in order to practice generosity, and joyful effort and mindfulness, etc. Right? And so, we need to overlook our superficial, temporary differences. And, I don't think we can expect them to understand us necessarily or to walk the same spiritual path, right? Everybody, has to make their own choices. And we can't change them, right? But, in the long run, that feeling of cherishing others is, has to remain, right? That's what we're trying to do as part of our spiritual path, is to cherish others, regardless of whether they're seeing things the same way. So somebody who's not Buddhist, but who isn't self-centered, has a good heart and helps others, that's a wonderful human being who we should treasure. But as well, all the people who push our buttons, right? We need to treasure them just as much, right? So I was thinking, we could imagine that when we're reborn in the hell realms and we meet somebody and we say, hey, how'd you end up here? And the person replies, oh, it's because, Losang Tendrol got me so mad that I eventually just killed her. Right? So we have to be careful, because by, being not so careful in our relationships, then we can cause others, tremendous suffering. And that's a shame, right? It gets us sent to the lower realms. It gets everybody sent to the lower realms. And so the hell realms, that's a crowded place, very crowded down there. Okay, so we need to be very cautious. We have to watch our minds in relation to our friends and families and coworkers, basically the people who we are around, most often, right? Because the negative habits, the non-virtuous habits of mind, of body, speech, and mind, they can grow stronger and stronger over time because we're with them so often. And it becomes, more and more difficult to repair these relationships. So we have to remember, of course, that it's the inner demons that cause conflict. It's the inner negative emotions. It's that inner negative karma that we carry around. It's like we carry a blowtorch of self-cherishing. So when we're with somebody who we feel hostile to, who we dislike, we have to be extremely careful. Any little misstep, will cause suffering for both of us. So we need to practice, the Tonglen meditation. We need to practice the Losang teachings, the mind training teachings that Geshe Dargye has been offering. For the past few months, especially for those people who we dislike. Right? We need to make an effort, a conscious effort to connect with them despite our differences, despite our history, despite our differences in backgrounds. We need to stay on their good side, and so we need to focus on the positive. We can win an argument, but in the long run, like we can prove it. Like that example I was referring to at the beginning a few minutes ago, like I could prove probably through text messages, documenting the conversation and blah, 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 that I was right, haha. But in the long run, you could rub somebody's nose into the dog poop, literally. But in the long run, you're going to lose the war because the relationship is just going to get worse and worse and worse. The trust is gone, etc. So you have to be careful. And so when somebody's yelling all the time, we tend to just tune them out, just like our kids, right? We just tune them out. Yeah. So that negative habit of just yelling doesn't really get you anywhere. And in fact, the funny thing is that, these days everybody's just wearing AirPods. So, you really don't have to listen to anybody. You just put in those AirPods, crank them up, and the guy could be yelling at you all the time. You just tune it out, right? No, I'm kidding. So there are politics everywhere, even in the monastery, right? There's a social order, there are different customs. So relationships can be difficult, even if we share the same cultural and religious, background and tradition. Right? There's always going to be differences of opinion. And, monasteries are not necessarily that much easier places to be in. Even though everybody is trained in the practices, everybody's trained in and sharing the same spiritual goals, has that same deep, rich tradition of Buddhist practice. Even so, things can be difficult. So we have to remember that we're changing the internal causes and conditions, not the external environment. So we should put less emphasis on what's going on outside, or where we live, who we associate with. All that, in the end, it doesn't matter, as our mind becomes stronger. We need to welcome adversity in order to grow. Right? We all need to lose everything in a natural disaster. And so we need to practice giving everything away all the time. And so the dream yoga teachings, which we started talking about last week, they're very, very interesting because the foundational practice is to think of everything as a dream, right? So both, but primarily watching our internal processing, our internal mental workings, seeing ourselves as dream-like, right, as lacking inherent existence. Okay? And so one of the practices that Lama Karmajnana explained in his ongoing teachings on dream yoga is how we can set up situations, to work with somebody in a training environment as an exercise. You have somebody attack you verbally, attack you even physically, and then the opposite, praise you verbally. I don't know how you praise you physically, but you engage in these exercises to see what kind of an emotional reaction is, if any, is provoked, right? So for us, for me at least, as an ordinary being, if I were in that exercise, right, and somebody said, "Oh, wow, you're the biggest idiot. You're such, you don't know anything, and you've studied for a long time, but you're a complete zero, etc." Right? Then I'm sure, my ego would be hurt. I would feel, depressed and discouraged, right? So that's interesting to actually do that as an exercise. That's what the teachings, recommend. And so that helps us train in seeing, how much progress or the lack of progress, we've made in terms of understanding our minds, understanding how everything lacks, true existence, but arises due to these external causes and conditions, such as, somebody criticizing us or praising us. So it was very, very interesting, but good opportunity to practice so that when we're out there in the real world and somebody does, verbally attack us or somebody does praise us, then we know how to respond, seeing everything as lacking true existence. Okay. So I'd like to transition now to continuing this discussion about dream yoga. So in the last class, we talked a little bit about the different types of dreaming and the benefits. So how do we actually do it? Again, this is just going to be a very cursory explanation, and I have the references for you to go back and learn more if you're interested. But essentially, when you lie down, so I have two presentations. The first is Lama Zopa Rinpoche's brief explanation on the yoga of sleeping. You lie down in the lion position, so that would be on your right side with your the palm of your right hand and underneath your cheek, and your left arm along your side. And then importantly, you think that Shakyamuni Buddha is at the crown of your head, right? And Gyime Khenchen Rinpoche, in a teaching a long, long, long time ago, I believe, said that, you can think that you're resting your head almost in Buddha Shakyamuni's lap. You think of the Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, right? You're putting your head in his lap. So you feel very, very safe and protected. That's the point here. And you can think that you're surrounded by many, many, many protector deities, okay, so that you're going to sleep in a safe, protected environment. And then you make strong aspirational prayers and generate the intention to practice at night under the Buddha's protection, so that you don't have any nightmares, and that no sicknesses or evil spirits, will attack us at night when we are the most vulnerable. And so, the goal then is to sleep lightly and not kind of like a deep animal-like slumber, but rather a light sleep, so that you can direct your mind, direct your dreams to virtuous activities. And as you fall asleep in that way, then you think that white light or white nectar, white light descends from the Buddha and fills your entire body, purifying all negativity instantly. So then, let's see if I put these in here. Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche um, has written a wonderful, wonderful book about this subject, and he covers 4 foundational practices. The first is changing the karmic traces. Second is removing grasping and aversions. Third is strengthening our intention. And the fourth is cultivating memory and joyful effort. So I want to just go through these very, very briefly, because these foundational practices apply just as much to daily life, right? So we need to be able to practice these very, very well in daily life in order for them to set the foundation. It's like the basis from upon which we can practice dream yoga. So without these 4 foundational practices during the day, you really can't practice dream yoga effectively at night. So the first is changing the karmic traces. So here we relate to our ordinary experience by identifying it as a dream or illusion, or basically lacking inherent existence. So we make a conscious effort. Right? Then it's a conscious effort to see ourselves as dreamers, right? So it's more important to see ourselves as dreamers than it is to see the rest of our phenomena around us as dream-like objects. Okay, so it's not so much like we look out and we say, oh, well, that lamp is like a lamp from a dream, or the curtains are the curtains in a dream. They're dream-like, right? So instead, the focus is more on myself as being a dreamer. Okay, so our experience, our emotions, our thoughts, all of that is just part of a dream lacking inherent existence. Okay, so our persona, our identities, the roles we play, the masks we wear, all of these are just transparent, ephemeral. They lack inherent existence. They come through the mind, into the ripening of karma, coming into contact with causes and conditions. So we can drop the stories. We can just remain in vivid awareness, right? Free ourselves from all this, fictitious nonsense. Instead, create new habits of mind, new ways of relating to ourselves and our experience. That allows us to become more present, calmer, not caught up in these crazy stories that we spin. Okay. The second one is removing grasping and aversion. Okay, so if the first practice is like the immediate moment of encountering, phenomena, right? It's that first moment of direct awareness before you have that reaction. So the grasping and the aversion, that emotional stuff, is what happens in the next moment, right? So we need to direct that same lucid awareness to the emotions that arise in response to an object or situation. So we can think to ourselves, this anger is a dream, this it's an illusion. And the point is to become aware of the process that gives rise to the emotions, just like a dream, okay? And so I quote, this is like a complex interaction of thoughts, images, bodily states, and sensations. Emotional reactivity does not originate out there in objects. It arises, is experienced, and dissolves in your mind. So we don't just say it's a dream, right? We have to actually feel it as such, feel our experience as a dream. And if we can practice this, then over time, negative actions and negative actions and thoughts won't have the same power. Okay? And so we'll be able to give up aversion as well as attachment. The third point is strengthening our intention. So reviewing the day before we go to sleep strengthens our intention to practice during the night. So again, the idea is to think, what happened today? And recognize, any memories of our experiences as dream-like. During the day, which experiences were you able to recognize as a dream? Yeah, as the experience was unfolding, were you able to say, oh, wow, that argument, man, that was just, like out of a dream, right? It was dream-like. It's all my negative thinking, being spun up there. Right? Or was I, just 100% duped? So memory is very similar to dream, and it carries emotional weight. So if we can relate to our memories of the day as a dream-like experience, then the difficult, painful memories may become less so. If we miss the opportunity to relate to an experience during the day as a dream, right? We were just so caught up in the negativity that we forgot. Our mindfulness went out the window. And so we didn't think of it as a dream. So then that's okay, because during our evening review, or later on during the day, then we can have that chance to revisit the experience as such. So the idea is to witness the memory, but without, engaging the story, and just let it go. Allow the memory to surface, but, you don't get all upset about it and say, oh, he said, she said, blah, blah. You just let it go, right? And then we generate the intention to know directly and vividly while we dream during sleep, that night, that we're dreaming, okay? And then the fourth is cultivating memory and joyful effort. So we wake up in the morning, and then we further cultivate the strong intention and ability, the desire to be able to recognize dreams as such during the night. So did we dream? What do you remember of your dream? Right? So you've woken up in the morning, and now you're thinking about the dreams of the previous night. Did I dream? Was I aware that I was dreaming? Did I have any lucid dreaming? And so you can record the dreams when you wake up to make it easier to remember dreams in the future. And if you did have some, a lucid dream where you were dreaming and you knew you were dreaming, right? Then that's something to feel joy for, to rejoice in. That's great. And so consistency of practice is key, and you support your daytime, your evening sleep, dreams with mindful awareness during the day. Okay, so those are the four foundational practices as explained by Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche. And then he continues with an explanation of how to do the remaining elements of the practice. So that includes 9-round breathing, prayers, guru devotion, the actual practice, and dedication. So for 9-round breathing, I would think that many of you already know how to do 9-round breathing. So let me just go through this quickly, because we are short on time as always. So let's see. But this is a good, yoga practice for you can do as part of your daily practice. Not particularly in the context of dream yoga, right? This is just something that I'm sure if you've practiced in other contexts. So he talks about the channels. So the left channel, so the body has a complicated system of channels. Then the main three are the central channel, which is blue and represents, ignorance. And then to the left of the central channel, that's the red channel, red energy, symbolizing attachment and the female energies. And then to the right of the central channel is white. That represents, anger and the male energy. So if you think of the way I remember it is, you think of the central channel being blue, and so then you go on the left side, that's red, and the right side is white. So you go like, red, white, and then blue. Left, right, and then the central red, white, and blue. So for 9-round breathing, you're going to start by clearing the right channel. Okay, so clearing the right channel. So you use, and I've actually seen this explained in different ways, but anyway, you use your right hand to close the right nostril to inhale on the left side. Okay, so you take your right index finger and you close the right nostril to inhale on the left side. So you breathe in, and then you take, maybe I should, okay, I'll just explain it and then I'll show the demo. Then take the nail of the right index finger to close the left nostril and exhale on the right. So I don't think it really matters how you use your fingers, but anyway, that's one way to do it. Okay, so you use your right hand, you close the right nostril to inhale on the left side. And then you use that same hand to close the left side nostril so you can exhale on the right. So that would look like, let's see if I can do this. Right, so you take your finger, right? You can do one finger, index finger. Close the right nostril to inhale left. So you go. And then you can just go like this. Okay. So you do that 3 times. And then going back to our slides. Clearing the left channel, then you do the same thing, but on the other side. So you use your left hand and you can, again, the finger, index finger, closing the left nostril to inhale on the right. Then close the right and exhale on the left. And then thinking in this case that you're eliminating all attachment and desire and all obstacles connected with the future, right? So this is the red channel, the left channel is attachment and desire, whereas the previous one, the right channel, was anger and aversion and the obstacles associated with the past, okay? So let's see, so for the left channel, so take your left finger and you close the left and inhale on the right. And then move it to the right. And then finally, you can put your left hand on top of your right hand and inhale fresh air into both channels. So the white and the red channels, you were bringing the air down through those channels into the central channel on the exhalation. So if you're doing this for the first time, then you can, and it seems complicated, then you can just focus on getting the mechanics down, just doing the breathing. And then as you become more comfortable, then you can add in the visualization of the colors and the obscurations that are being purified. So that's a way of settling the mind and the body before you go to sleep to ensure that you have lucid dreams, right? Any questions so far? Here's a question. Oh, let's see. What does it say? Any questions? Is it our right looking from a person? Oh, so it's from the perspective of your own body, the right side, like, my right hand, my left hand, right?
Yeah,
Not
I've got
looking
a
at something else. Uh-huh.
sorry, I've got a question also, Ani. I've always done this the wrong way, I think, if I'm understanding you correctly. I just want to check. So when we're doing the right white male energy channel, are we contemplating or clearing anger and aversion of actions of the past? I think you mentioned that, actions of the past. Is that correct? Or is it all
Obstacles
actions?
associated with the past. That's what Tenzin Wangyal explains. Huh.
So
So I don't know.
okay, so let's just hold that. We possibly, right?
Yeah.
So then we go to the other side, the left channel, the red
Hmm.
channel, clearing that of attachment and desire. Will that be actions of the past, present, and future, or just future, or something different than actions of the past? Will it be the same?
In his book, he says obstacles connected with the future.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm not
interesting.
sure. Yeah,
Well,
why is it limited
well,
to?
well, I think it's because it's hard to have anger when you haven't had the cause for anger to arise yet. Like, I think I'm going to be angry tomorrow is kind of odd. But you can think of desire as something which you will have. I wish to have something in the future. I don't have it now, perhaps. I don't know.
Oh,
But I don't, I'm just curious
okay.
about that. But my main question is, I think you mentioned we switch. I don't know. I think you said right finger always when you're doing the right white channel, whether you're on blocking the left nostril or the right nostril, you're using the right index finger when
Yeah,
dealing with the white channel. Are you using the left index finger when dealing with the left channel?
yeah. You
I've
can do it that way.
never
Yeah.
heard that. I've always heard it was the same. And then the main
Oh, with the
that's
same hand.
yeah,
You
right?
could do that too. I'm not sure. I've heard different things as well.
Well, I like this one better if it comes from a source we feel is reliable. I think it'd be great. But my main question is now when we're dealing with ignorance, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what I'm visualizing. I am purifying because with attachment, desire actions, it's very clear to me when I have them, and anger very clear. But ignorance is something you don't know. When you have ignorance, you're usually not aware that you have that ignorance. You think you know everything. In fact, that's one of the big signs for me that I am being ignorant when I think I know. So I'm just wondering what are we visualizing when we're visualizing purifying ignorance, and it's from the central channel using both nostrils, I assume.
Yeah.
I'll turn off my microphone and I'm interested to hear what we visualize while we're visualizing purifying ignorance.
So ignorance would be like, wrong view, right? So it could be anything from not believing in the Buddha's and the Buddha's teachings, right? Or it could be the misunderstanding of the nature of reality. It's all of that stuff. Yeah, that fundamental ignorance, that self-grasping,
Oh, so right view, wrong
all
view,
that.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Ignorance
Thanks.
with a big I.
Yeah, it's harder to visualize that. I can visualize my attachment to getting ice cream tonight, or I can visualize my anger at that guy who cut me off in traffic yesterday. But
Right,
I just
right.
don't. I just have trouble understanding. I mean, visualizing my own ignorance is like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to believe in right view, but I'm not really sure what the hell that is because I'm ignorant. So it's kind of
Right, right.
I find it difficult. Okay, well, thank you very much,
Yeah,
honey.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely harder. Yeah. Um, okay, so just briefly, having done the 9 round breathing and you've done the visualization, then you do some aspirational prayers to, please help me have lucid dreams. Then you do some guru devotion, visualization and prayers. Again, you visualize the tantric deities, protecting you. can imagine that there are countless deities protecting you. This is Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche's explanation. And then he goes in the book through the actual practice, which involves, doing a visualization and working more with the channels, and waking up in the middle of the night in order to repeat this series of practices that we're discussing right here. You repeat the whole practice and then you go back to sleep, right? And so we're doing the practice in order to generate these lucid dreams. That's the intention. So that's why you get up in the middle of the night, you repeat this process, you go back to sleep and see, did I have, any more lucid dreams? Or any dreams, period, right? Like some people just don't dream or whatever. Then you do the dedication prayers, okay? So I'm going to leave, that topic as it is because I think it's fascinating, but I'm not qualified to talk about it. But I hope that you will be inspired to look for more, learn more about it. Because we sleep a lot, right? It is. We do sleep a lot. It's a good part of our day, good part of our lifetime spent just sleeping. Okay, so what are some of the things that we can do to accumulate merit? I'm going to go through this quickly so we have more time for questions. The first one I wanted to talk about was prayer wheels, right? Prayer wheels. So Garchen Rinpoche, his eminence Garchen Rinpoche is a Kargyu, Jikun Kargyu master. And so he says, we all want to accumulate merit, but we don't know how to accumulate merit. We want the merit, but we just don't know how to get it, right? And so it's said that if you want to know how you were in the past, look at your present body. If you want to know your future, look at your present actions. So that's why accumulating merit now is so beneficial. Right? So we're going to talk about prayer wheels, and we're going to talk about mantra recitation and so let's take a step back. Actually, I got these a little out of order. I apologize. He also talks about the benefits of mantras. Right? So before you do, prayer wheels, which involve, mantra recitation, then it makes sense to understand a little bit more about mantras. And he, it's over here. He discusses 9 different benefits of mantra recitation. So let me go back to the slides here. Slides, zoom. Go here, go here. Hey, you go out of the way. Stop that. Share. 9 benefits. Go for the slides. So the first is the deity. So every time we recite a mantra, we can think that we're emanating, one deity. So if it's the Chenrezi mantra, then we say Om Mani Padme Hum. We think that Chenrezi is emanated from us. And then these deities then work for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then when we make offerings, right? So when we can think that light rays are radiating out from the mantra rosary, and each ray of light bears an offering goddess. We can think that, countless offering goddesses are emanated. So all of these, the description of the 9 benefits is in the context of tantric practice, right? So I think even if you're just saying mantras without necessarily visualizing yourself as a mantra, as a deity, or even without, maybe I should leave it at that. It's the mantra itself still has, this power, this potential in it. Okay, so you can do as much of this as, is appropriate for your stage of practice. So I'll just describe it and then you do it. You can suit this to your needs. The third is the purification of obscurations. So when the light rays radiate out the second time, you say the mantra the second time, the light rays are radiating out, touching all sentient beings, purifying their obscurations. What are the obscurations? It's like ignorance, right? Self-grasping. And the light rays that you're sending out are rays of compassion. So it's the rays of light, that of love, compassion, that melt the self-grasping, ignorance, like a hot sun melting snow. That's what he says. You can think that when the light rays return and reabsorb, into the mala, into the mantra, they bear siddhis in the form of blessings of the Buddha's enlightened body, speech, and mind. So that's siddhis. Blessings, mantras bring about loving kindness and compassion in the practitioner due to the blessings of the deity's mind stream, right? And then the mandala. So when we've fully trained in the generation stage, so this would refer to tantric practice, then reciting the mantra once will invoke the entire mandala of deities. Enlightened activity, all of the 4 activities are performed and accomplished through mantra. So peaceful activities, increasing, powerful, and wrathful. Those 4 activities are performed and accomplished through mantra. And then a wish-fulfilling jewel, whatever we need to accomplish, mantra will bring about. And then dharmata, when we are meditating and reciting the mantra at the same time, then conceptual thoughts are cut. And when we are free from conceptual thoughts, then we can see that the nature of the mind is emptiness, right? So since it allows us to see the nature of mind to be empty of true existence, then that's why mantra cuts conceptual thought, because it is a sound emptiness. It doesn't produce, like ordinary sounds produce craving and grasping and attachment, right? But the sound of mantra is, transcends all of those negative emotions. So these 9 benefits, Gautama Rinpoche concludes by saying these 9 benefits occur whenever you recite mantra. They apply equally to the mantras of all deities. So this is as taught by Guru Rinpoche. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Beautiful presentation of the benefits of reciting mantras. So I wanted to share that.
Can I ask a question?
Uh-huh.
About that? Do all those benefits still apply if you don't have like an initiation in the deity? Are they just talking even uninitiated practice, or is it specifically?
I think it's if you've had the initiation for the deity, then it's going to be all the more powerful, so to speak, because you can generate yourself as the deity, right?
Right.
But if you're just reciting, without it, then that's okay too, because the power really relies in your intention, the purity of your motivation, and the power inherent in the mantric syllables themselves, and
Gotcha.
the visualization.
As long as you're, I know not to self-generate or anything, but without the initiation, but is it okay to like do all these, visualize all these things, even though we're not self-generating, like even though we don't have the initiation? Just checking.
Because you can visualize the deity like at the crown of your head.
Right. Front generation. Got it.
Yeah.
Isn't that, yeah, cool. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Any other questions before I move on to the prayer wheels? Let's see. All right, so prayer wheels. Prayer wheels are another very convenient way to accumulate merit, because you can do this anywhere. You don't necessarily need to travel. So spinning the prayer wheel is an excellent means to accumulate merit through body, speech, and mind continuously. So even though we have a strong aspiration to engage in practice, although we might really want to practice, due to some karmic obscurations that we've accumulated in the past, we may just not have the opportunity to be able to do extensive practice. So it's important to look for skillful means to engage in practice. So prayer wheels are a very good way of doing this because, you know, you can carry your prayer wheel around with you all the time. And and I'll show you a few examples in a minute, my little show and tell. But when you spin the prayer wheel, then all the virtues of body, speech, and mind are contained. There's physical virtue engaged in, you know, spinning the wheel. That's the virtue of the body. And then the prayer wheel is filled with all of the mantras. So however many mantras are in the prayer wheel, you'll receive the benefits of verbal prostration. And so then the mantras, as you spin it, contain all of the deities and their mandalas. And these mantras are radiating out and emerging and then falling down like a rainfall to pervade all sentient beings' mind streams through the power of love and compassion. And it's, you know, the love and your love and compassion, right? You're the one spinning the prayer wheel. So that's the mental prostration. So it's your positive intention, your love and compassion being sent out to all sentient beings. It's a mental training of mindfulness, right? Because you need to stay focused on the spinning the prayer wheel. Because if you get distracted, then you don't spin it just right, and then the balance gets off, and it'll stop spinning, you know, correctly, right? So let me show you a quick couple of examples. Again, I know here in the slide here, this is on the big, beautiful prayer wheel that was recently constructed, just finished, you know, recently at Vajrapani Institute. This is Gyime Khenso Rinpoche spinning the big prayer wheel with Gelek Rinpoche, Geshe Gelek behind him. It was very heavy, but once you got it going, it was amazing. And then here, that's an example of other holy objects. And we'll talk about that in a minute, you know, going for Kora, going for pilgrimage. Here at Vajrapani Institute, they also have this beautiful enlightenment stupa, and as well as several others. So the point being that you don't have to travel all the way to India or Nepal or, you know, far off places. There are many, many Dharma centers with holy objects, you know, right here in the United States. Okay. So actually, while we're on the same topic, I'll show you the handheld ones in a second, but you know, there are beautiful, beautiful prayer wheels at Dunakumpanling, for that matter. And so usually, if you think of the ones that are in the parking lot, and so the custom is to start with your right shoulder closest to the prayer wheels. So you start at the end near the dumpster, and then you walk forward, you know, spinning the wheels, right? And so, you know, you're thinking Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, as you spin, you know, each of the wheels, right? And so that's a wonderful way to accumulate merit, right? Likewise, there's a big prayer wheel down the hill from the temple building. You know, you cross that little stream, and then in that covered pavilion type structure, there's another very, very big prayer wheel. Okay. So whenever you're at Donakumpanling, this would be a good thing to do because it's fun.
Ani,
Uh-huh.
was it the intention to have the prayer wheels by the parking lot go from dumpster towards temple as a metaphor for your mind?
I have no idea. I think it was just convenience. There's no other place to put them. But maybe it sounds good. I like that. Okay, so prayer wheels that you can have at home, comfort of your own home. So this is one of them that I got at Garten Rinpoche Center in Northern Virginia. So this is one kind. This one's made out of metal and it's filled with, so these days, you know, the mantras are on microfiche. So you can put them And you can put, obviously a lot more on microfiche than you can on a strip of paper, which is how they were traditionally made. And so you could just, it's very relaxing. It has a certain energy to it, and it's very peaceful. But if you don't pay attention, then, you could see like it started getting all wobbly. So that's one. And here's an old one from Tibet. This one does not have microfiche. The prayers are on a strip of paper, but it's made out of silver-like material. Same thing, you just spin it like that. This one's very light. And they also can make, like top ones. So this was a gift from Dr. Lauren Ladner, who actually wrote a whole book about prayer wheels, their meaning and symbolism, significance. So you can just spin it like that. So you can, get very, very big ones or very small ones. I also have one that's like a pendant you can wear around your neck. So anyway, okay, that's my show and tell for prayer wheels. And then in the references, there's some very, very beautiful prayer wheels that are handmade out of wood. And they're available from prayerwheelshop.com. Very beautiful. They've been around for a really, really long time. And the quotes from Garchen Rinpoche, I actually found on this prayerwheelshop.com website. This was an artist, I guess that's the word, an artist that was mentioned and recommended by Lauren Ladner. So I would mention that prayer wheels are hard to buy, online, because ideally you would be able to spin it and feel the weight, right? Feel the weight, feel the size before making a decision. Because if it's too light or if it's too heavy or it doesn't spin just right, then it might not be the right choice for you. So okay, any questions about prayer wheels before we move on to let's see, circumambulation is the next one. That's the last topic. Oh yeah, a little bit more. Okay, circumambulation. So the idea is that we can accumulate merit by walking around holy objects, right? So the word for this kind of holy pilgrimage in Tibetan is ne kor, where ne means an abode and kor means to go around something. So it's the idea that as you walk around a sacred object, a holy place, then that object or place has the power to transform whoever's circling around it. So the more powerful the sacred space, then the greater the merit. And as we are circumambulating the holy place, then we can accumulate more merit by combining it with chanting mantras, or spinning our prayer wheel as we're walking around, right? You can do prostrations as you're circumambulating, and so I think we've all seen images of Tibetans, prostrating at Bodh or prostrating 1,200 miles from one holy place to the other holy place. And so there are sacred natural places. For example, in Tibet, there's Mount Kailash and several other, there's several famous lakes. So we can do this, right here at Donakompanling, though, right? Because the main Gompa has copies of the Kangyur, all of the Tibetan Buddhist main the Buddhist texts, right? are in the Gompa, along with all of the beautiful representations of the Buddhas and our teachers, etc. So keep it simple, right? Just go out there instead of walking up on the hill. You can just walk around the main Gompa, right? Walk around the building. The path has been cleared now, so you can get through very, very easily, right? So just walk clockwise around the monastery. You don't even need a plane ticket. And then the main thing is to focus, when you're doing the circumambulation, concentrate your mind on saying the mantras, generating, pure devotion to your guru, etc. The point is, don't, be out there like walking and gossiping, and it's not a social party. It's a meditational practice. Okay. All right. So what about malas? Just real quickly, I think many of you probably have malas, but the main purpose of a mala is to be used, in counting the mantras, right? It's a counting device. And so there are many, many different types of beads, and the beads can range from different types of woods to different kinds of semi-precious gemstones, I guess is the word, like lapis lazuli or crystal or agate, amethyst. Many, many different kinds. And how do we, use the mala? Well, we are supposed to hold it in the left hand, right? And pull the bead towards, pull the bead towards you, thinking that we're pulling the beads in a clockwise, direction. And so then we go all the way around the mala, and then you can flip it and go the other way, right? So, personally, I will do some with my left hand, and then if my left hand, gets tired after a while, then I'll switch and I'll use my right hand. So I think, we just do the best that we can in terms of like which hand is more comfortable. If you're doing, many, 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 many malas, of mantras, maybe during, a retreat, then eventually your hand, gets tired, so you might have to switch. So malas that have a counters, like something at least to indicate which is the 21st bead, because a lot of times you're doing like 21 recitations of, Om Mani Padme Hum or something. So it's good to have the 21st, have a couple of these go in here. So then you could also have these, markers if you're doing some kind of a retreat, so you could count, I did 10 malas, and then you move one of these, smaller counters, right? Or, you don't have to do that though. You can just use a grain of rice. You can have a piece of paper and a pencil, right? You don't have to put it on the mala per se. But any way that you can count is fine. Again, if you're going to buy a mala, ideally, you can do it in person, so you can find something that's comfortable for your hand. If you like the texture and it's not too big, it's not too rough, it's whatever. Okay. But it's not a fashion accessory, right? So I think during the day, maybe you don't like put it around your neck and walk around and go to work or whatever. You just keep it at home, keep it maybe in a little pouch, a little something to protect it. Don't bring it in the bathroom. Yeah, you just treat it with respect. Okay. So they're available both at Donut Kumpanling, I think. There's also available from many, many places online. I bet you could get it on Amazon, but ideally you're going to get a mala that's blessed by somebody. The ones that you can purchase from the Tibetan Nuns Project, it's tnp.org. I think this is in the references, Tibetan Nuns Project. They're handmade by the nuns, and they're blessed by the nuns. So that's really nice. They're also available from TibetanSpirit.com. They have a nice collection of malas. And both of those websites have good explanations, detailed explanations of the types of materials, so whether you get lapis lazuli or crystal or whatever, they'll explain the meaning behind those choices. So that was pretty cool. Any questions before I close with a few minutes of rah-rah, joyful effort?
Yeah, I've got two questions, Ani. One is the clockwise direction for everything. It seems like the prayer wheels, the circumambulation, the malas, some of the visualizations when we visualize letters in mantra wheels. I'm just curious about that. Is there ever an instance when you go the other way? And the reason I ask is sometimes there's one-way traffic in the areas where I do my my walking meditations, and sometimes you're not allowed to go in the clockwise direction. You have to go in a counterclockwise direction because pedestrian traffic is supposed to go in that way. Specifically, there's a reservoir in Central Park where you have to go the wrong way. And so the second one is when you visualize in the mantra wheel, no problem. But when you're doing the circumambulations, if you're not fortunate enough to live near DNKL and you're looking for a place to circumambulate, can you visualize the holy object in the center as a visual placement of something that you would perceive as the holy object, so you could practice circumambulation if there is no such thing as the things you listed, the Dharma texts, the images of the deities, etc., to find in in New York City, for example, or wherever we might find ourselves.
Is Tibet House still there? Or the Rubin Museum?
The Rubin Museum closed.
Closed, right?
That house is still there, but it's like, are you going to walk around, an entire city block at 15th, West 15th Street? I don't know. Maybe that's true.
Yeah, you can do that. I'm sure. If you could, so you're walking around the Central Park Reservoir counterclockwise, and you're visualizing the holy objects in the middle of the reservoir. That's pretty intense. But and
it sounds like you don't approve of that idea working. Maybe.
No, well, I don't know. Probably it's all good, right? You could walk. Yeah. I guess you could do it. Just stay home and use a prayer wheel, or not even just.
No, for circumambulation. Yeah. Okay. So my next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my last question. I'm sorry to ask so many questions today, but the malas. So, I'm never sure left hand, right hand. I always thought it was like female, male practice, or a specific practice, right hand, left hand. But I think you said, do you have it from a good source that you said it's the left hand usually? And now I'm thinking about it. You might be right, and I don't know. I'm ignorant, I think.
I saw left hand. It was either in Lama Zopa Rinpoche's discussion or Tibetan Nuns Project. I can find where I saw the actual reference.
Sounds good to me. Thank you so much, Ani, for this excellent talk today. Thank you.
Anila? Hi, it's Karen.
Hi, Karen.
I was thinking about also the walking leftwards, because there are certain tantric things that are leftwarders. Is that the situation where you might walk leftwards then? I don't know. That's a
good idea. Right, because some of the deities, when you do the mantra recitation, you visualize it going counterclockwise.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not so important.
Yeah, maybe it's not that important. Yeah. I had one more question about the chakras.
Yeah.
So the central chakra, I understand, is like closed off, right? Someone explained it to me, or I read it. It's like sort of like almost like
blocked, right?
Blocked or strangled, or that's how I think of it. So I don't know. So for breathing in and then breathing out, and then we're breathing both sides. Are we actually breathing the 9 rounds into the central channel, or is it really not? I don't know. That's my question.
Yeah, I think for us as beginners, the whole thing is more of a visualization and practice, and then eventually, as our practice improves, then we'll be able to do it.
Okay. Oh yeah. I just wanted to clear that. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Amila?
any other questions?
It's actually not a question, but someone was asking extra questions about the prayer wheel, and you mentioned Lauren's book. But you know, he did an amazing talk at DNKL, and I guess maybe this is a Chappelle question. I'm wondering if it was recorded. If somebody really wants to, you know, do a deeper dive, that was such a lovely talk, specifically on that one aspect.
Yeah,
So I just wanted
that's a good
to
point.
ask if it was available and you know, let people know that that existed because that was exquisite.
Yeah. I don't know if it was recorded, but I guess probably there's a good chance. We'll have to go back and look on the YouTube channel to see, to try to
Right.
find it. Yeah.
Oh,
Good
thanks
point.
for that. Also, Andor, what was the name of Lauren's book that we could look it up?
I think that's going to be pretty self-evident.
Yeah, I think if you Google it,
Okay,
Lauren
no problem.
Ladner,
Yep.
Lorneladner is his last name. I can't remember at the top of my head. There are not too many books on prayer wheels.
I also wanted to comment on thinking of life as a dream.
Mm.
I just wanted to comment and say that I think this is really an important practice to try to do in, you know, with the coming years, because I see a lot of people are struggling with a lot of changes and things like that. So this is a practice that I'm trying to do and focusing on trying to do. And one thing that I've come up with, and I think I've heard it, is to think of either situations or people sort of in a bubble, right? And how a bubble sort of floats. And even in Tsongkhapa's, what is it? Many of his short thing where life is, you know, like a bubble, right? So
Impermanent as a water bubble.
impermanent and life is like a bubble. So if you can think of situations or people you're struggling with or people you have anger with, you sort of put them in this sort of floaty bubble. You know, it's a meditation, you know, thing.
Yeah,
That works. I just wanted to offer that up to people.
yeah, definitely.
So that we can
Yeah.
think of life as a dream.
It's so important. I mean, we were doing so many studying emptiness, you know,
Yeah.
and here's a way to actually put it into practice. Right?
Yeah.
This is where we really get the benefits of all that academic study. Well, that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just something you leave in a book. It's something that when somebody's yelling at you, you have to think, oh,
Yeah,
why is
yeah.
this happening? What's my contribution?
Mhm.
How do I think of the whole experience as dreamlike? Yeah. Yeah. Hope they, yeah, see them in a bubble and hope the bubble blows away. Thanks. No. Terrible.
Everything
Okay.
has its time. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So just one, I know we're down to 1 minute and but joyous effort, okay, because we're at the end of, you know, a 5 class series. So appreciate everybody who was able to attend you know, all the classes or most of the classes. And so our ability to see our life experiences as dreamlike, our ability to transform our minds, you know, from the ordinary being covered with the obscurations of negative emotions and under the control of negative karma, right? It all depends on joyful effort on it, or enthusiasm or perseverance, whatever you want to call it, right? It depends on having a deep-seated faith in the meaning and the purpose and benefits of our Dharma practice, right? Because there's no pain, there's no sacrifice, you know, when this faith, you know, really becomes deeply rooted in our minds, right? And so we need this joyful effort to fuel our Dharma practice, to keep us on track so that we're not ping-ponging, you know, working hard in our practice one day, doing many hours of practice one day, and The next day, we run into some kind of problem, and then it all, goes to pot, and we just stop, right? We need the mindfulness to overcome our negative thoughts and emotions, right? So it's more, we're shooting more for a slow, stable, consistent daily practice, versus, riding a roller coaster of enthusiasm, right? And we're focusing our lives only on Dharma, right? This is when we talk about joyful effort, this is in the context of Dharma, right? We're prioritizing our time, so only Dharma matters. Right? We're using our perseverance, our enthusiasm to overcome our laziness. And so what keeps us going? It's seeing the progress, seeing that our lives get easier, seeing that our relationships become smoother because we're more careful, we're focusing on our mental health, on our physical health. And that means our spiritual health, becomes better. And so we become, better people, more friendly, more loving, more giving. And so our relationships, improve. Okay, so joyful effort. Then I'll close with this one slide. Is this. And now it's the effort that we make in transforming ourselves like little muddy caterpillars, spinning a cocoon and eventually turning into butterflies. All right. There are the references. And then if you have time, we'll just go through this quickly. May the precious supreme bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends, so that your holy deeds may bless the nature of fortunate disciples, and that the Lord of 10 Powers teachings and realizations spread. You shine the lamp of logic for intelligent minds, spiritual friend who shows the way. To you we pray. So thank you very much. If there are no other questions, then I guess we will end.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take
Thank you.
care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.